Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, long awaited. I suppose you guys have been waiting for a while, and it is the Trafalgar polling map, the final one, the day before the election. November 2nd is today. November 3rd is when y'all should vote, and I am frankly very excited. Now, let's get into it. Let me preface this that it's very critical that I go over the best poll, the gold standard of the Rust Belt, and tell you why Trafalgar is so correct, as well as I gotta thank certain people for the inspiration for my videos, perhaps. Originally, this YouTuber Matt Gagnon gave me the idea. I saw one of his videos. I did my version of it, and it came out a lot better than his. Also, the DC Perspective made something like this as well. And it's okay, man. It's cool. But, we can share the love of Trafalgar all together, all right? Anyways, just to get over that, let's leave Nebraska's 2nd district tilt. Either way, but I think it'll tilt Trump. By the way, in terms of Texas is not pulled by Trafalgar. Let's just say it goes by 6, which is likely. Georgia has not been pulled by Trafalgar. That's going to be a lean. Let's say 3-4. Virginia is going to be like 7 for Biden, I believe. That's going to be trending a couple points towards the Democrats. New Hampshire is not pulled by Trafalgar, unfortunately, but I can virtually assure you that it's going to go approximately a couple points for Biden, maybe. Let's just put it lean Democrat. Radical Politics has told me as much, and frankly, I have no proof to tell him otherwise. So let's also make sure that Maine is taken care of. Let's say Maine goes tilt Biden because Trump lost it by 2 or 3. So let's just say it tilts 1 point something for Biden. Let's have the 2nd district, the 1st district go to Biden and have the first one go to Trump. All right, so that's going to be the map so far. Let's introduce Trafalgar into the mix, and we'll see what happens. As of right now, we can go all the way down to Ohio. Ohio came out yesterday, came out big for Donald Trump, 49.2% to 44.4%, with sleepy Joe Jorgensen at 2.1%. That's a almost 5-point lead for Donald Trump, and I'm a Trafalgar connoisseur, therefore I'm going to go after the specific details. As you can see, there was over 1,000 people asked about this. The margin of error is less than 3%, and Trump is winning by 5%, so that means that it's outside the margin of error, meaning he's definitely going to win. In terms of the age demographics, I don't know a lot about that, and I don't care. 82% white, 12% black, 2% Hispanic. Maybe the Hispanic is a little undersampled, but the blacks might be oversampled. Who knows? Women are voting 10% more, and I think that's to adjust for the partisan lean, because people are saying Trafalgar is going to be the Trump poll. No, that's not the case. But anyway, Trafalgar underestimated Ohio for Trump in 2016, so 5 for Trump is probably more like 6 or 7. And also, let's keep in mind that they're oversampling women by a couple percent, okay? So because of this fact alone, Ohio's going likely Trump at least. I'd predict myself it goes Trump 7%. Let's move on to another state. Ohio is going to be probably the last state I'm going to cover because that's a big one. Michigan's another one. Where do you think Michigan's going to lie? As you can see right here, totals with leaning supporters, Donald Trump's at 48.3% against Joe Biden. The margin of error is 3%, but the confidence is very high. Out of over 1,000 respondents, you can see that Donald Trump has more leaners on his side than does Biden. He is leading right now, currently 46.5 to 44.1, and that's without leans. And then with leans, it's 48.3 against 45.8. So the lead is 2.5. Okay, even counting the leans, not counting the leans. As you can see, the white vote and the black vote seem about right. The Hispanic vote is pretty close. There's no Mexicans in Michigan. Don't worry. I can personally tell you that's not the case. In terms of male to female, women are voting 6 ahead of men, apparently. Is that it? 45.9 to 54.1. That's a 8.2% difference. That's probably oversampling women again. So because of this, I would say that Trump has a full-on lean of 3, advantage of 3. But because of rigging in Detroit and the blacks in Detroit, getting bussed to the polls as is common in inner cities, I would say it's tilt R. But so far, great news. As you can see, they're pretty much tied at this point, Joe Biden and Donald Trump. We move on to another state, such as the great state of Nevada. Nevada, which was polled fairly recently, shows Donald Trump behind by 2.3 with the leans and 2.4 in general. There's a report here. The margin of error in this case is 3%, like it normally is, meaning that Trump is within the margin of error, which is very encouraging because he lost the state by 3.5, I believe, in 2016 out of over 1,000 respondents. As you can see, Trump is leading again with leaners, and the late breaks are going to go for Donald. And in terms of the sampling, I honestly don't know how many Hispanics are there. Maybe they count them as white. I don't care. Black seems to be oversampled a little bit. I don't think there's that many blacks in Nevada outside of Las Vegas specifically, but we'll see. Women are estimated to vote 3.8% more than men, which seems pretty accurate in terms of the crosstabs. I'm not a nerd, so I'm not going to talk about that. But actually, let's get over this. I'm going to take the Richard Barris pill, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I want to look for Hispanics because I need to look at what the race is doing right now. As you can see, Biden is only getting 51% of Hispanics, only 75% of blacks, and less than half of Asians, which is kind of rough. Trump is doing 47.8% with Asians, which is pretty impressive. He's getting 18.6% with, he's getting 20% with the black community, which is pretty impressive. He's also doing 40% with Asians, which is impressive as well. My main contention here is that he's only getting 52% of the white vote, and he should mobilize the white people to vote more. But unfortunately, that's not the case, which basically relegates Donald Trump to lose the state of Nevada narrowly. And again, Robert Barnes has talked about Nevada a lot, and that is to say that they're going to rig votes, they're going to mail in, they're going to do a lot of crap that's going to spoil the election either way, even if Trump were to unadulterated have a win. But I'm sorry, Trump is going to lose this lean, and okay, anyone who says it's safe is an idiot. Whoever says it's likely is wrong. It's going to be lean. I predict Trump will lose by anywhere from 1.5 to 3, and that's truly unfortunate. Let's move on to another state. Right now we have North Carolina during Halloween. The end of Spooktober was headed with a North Carolina poll. I'm very confident it'll go Republican. As you can see, the margin of error is 2.9% out of over 1,000 respondents. And as you can see right of now, Donald Trump is leading by 2-ish%, 2.1, 1.9, something like that, 2%. So that basically goes to show that we are winning the election decently here. All right, it's still recording. North Carolina, which was carried by Romney by about 2% and carried by Trump by 3.6, is predicted to vote 2.1 for Donald Trump. Now, does that make sense? That's a light lean. As you can see, white votes are at 68.5%. The black is 23.6%. I would expect the black vote to be ever so slightly smaller than that. Hopefully, that'll be the case so that we can do a little better in the state and carry Tillis across the finish line. Women are predicted to vote over 7% more than men, which is quite interesting. And if we look at the racial demographics, Trump is getting 28% of the black vote, 23%, sorry. So again, Trump's doing way better with minorities than you would think. But again, the white vote is very awesome and, large, and you need to win that. But anyway, I say North Carolina is a lean. Probably it's going to go 2 to 3 for Trump, in my opinion. Worst case, it'll be 1 point something, but likely in the 2 range. Therefore, and like DC Perspective thinks that it'll go huge. Like it's a likely that it's a 4.5, 5, 6% for Trump. A little optimistic, but that's what people say about my McSally prediction. But haters are going to hate anyway. Let's move on to another state again. Donald Trump takes the lead. It's a very close election still. And let's keep going. Arizona, the most important state of the union, the best state, is unfortunately closer than it was last time, according to a lot of people, including doomers and poolers and all sorts of people. But let's look on to Arizona with over 1,000 respondents yet again, and with a margin of error of 3%. Donald Trump is leading by 2.3%, and with leaners, he's leading by 2.5%. So let's just call it 2.5%. So as of right now, the Hispanic vote is at 21, the blacks at 4, white is at 69, and I know my state well, guys, and I'm gotta tell you, the white vote approximately in Arizona in 2016 was 72%, and I would estimate that they would probably lose 1 or 2% because of demographic change. So I'd say the white vote's more like 70, so that's a slight disadvantage to Trump in terms of the Trafalgar poll. Hispanics, I think it turned out at 17% of the electorate, or 21%. I forget what number it was. So they have the Hispanics voting more in this electorate, but at the same time, they're going more Republican, so that offsets the difference. Don't worry about that. The blacks make up 2% of the electorate, so for them to be 4.4% of the people called gives an unfair advantage to Biden in this poll. Unfortunately, Trafalgar was off by a couple percent there. Women are oversampled 8%, which is a little off. So, again, with all that being said, I think that that'll basically lean to Trump winning the state of Arizona by approximately 3, in my opinion. It could be 2, it could be 1, it could be something along those lines. Maybe just enough to carry McSally over the finish line. How about that? But let's go into this poll right here. The crosstabs go to show that Trump's getting 40% of the Hispanics, a very low amount of the blacks, but thank God there's not that many here because then we'd be losing. So that's Arizona for you. Again, let's keep going to the state of... Do we have Michigan called? We have Ohio called. What is next? What is next? Nevada's done. Florida, a recent poll as of a couple days ago, 5 days ago. Florida, October 29th. By the end of Spooktober, we have approximately over 1,000 respondents. Margin of error of less than 3. And we have Trump winning right now by 2.7%. This is awesome. 47.8 to 45.7, or with leaners 49.6 to 46.9. So inverted numbers there, very cool. 2.7. Let's keep going down. Probably overestimating the blacks a little bit, which I think they do on purpose. And the Hispanics might be undersampled, but at the same time, the Hispanics vote more Republican, so who cares? Women are expected to vote 8.8% more than men. That's a little bit of a increase than what normally is seen in Florida from what I remember or just make up in my head. And as of right now, Trump is doing pretty well with the blacks and with the Asians, and he's seemingly getting enough of the white vote, so it seems pretty spot on here, spick and span. I'd see Trump winning by 3 or maybe 2. So let's have Trump win Florida, which is great. And then we'll move on to another state, such as Minnesota. Now, this poll is pretty notorious. This one is their worst poll I've seen. But I'll still cover it anyway. And this is the over 1,000 respondent margin of error of less than 3%. Trafalgar is specifically saying that Trump is behind by 3.2%, unfortunately for him. But without the leans, he's only behind 2.2, so that's interesting. Jorgensen has 2% of the vote here, which is a little above average for the nation, but it is Minnesota. Also, Kanye West is getting 3.3, which does not make sense, but it's Minnesota. So let's keep going along here. Whites are at 88.1, blacks 4.5. I don't know about these numbers. They seem sketchy here. Males voting 5% less than females. That seems a little skewed for the females. As you can see, the Kanye West is doing disproportionately well with the young people, like you would assume. And as of right now, Kanye is getting 6% of the black vote, which is specifically what people were talking about, him stealing votes from Biden, which honestly, good for him. But at the same time, look here. Donald Trump is getting 2.5% with blacks in Minnesota. That does not make sense at all. And Kanye's getting 7 basically, which does not make sense to me. And Biden's outperforming with the blacks more than normal. So I think that this is mostly Kanye stealing votes from Trump, actually, unfortunately. So I would say that because of the things that this poll has wrong, and this is one of the rare exceptions in the Trafalgar polls where they're wrong probably, I would say instead of lean blue, it's tilt blue, and that's to be expected, just like last time. Let's move on to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's another important state. This is a week-old poll. So, again, Trump's the incumbent. So, if anything, this poll would skew more towards the right eventually. So, margin of error, 2.89% over 1,000 respondents. We have Joe Biden leading by 0.4% with leans, okay? But with Joe Jorgensen getting 2.7, that seems a little high. Because of that, if we scale down Joe to 1.5% of the libertarian vote, and Trump does better with those extra libertarians, obviously, that would make up the difference. So that means that it's in a dead heat, plus it's in the margin of error, number one. And then number two, we look at the votes here, and women are oversampled by 1%, I would assume, too. And we look at the crosstab of ethnicity, and Trump is doing on point with blacks, underperforming with Asians compared to Nevada and other places, Hispanics are irrelevant in Wisconsin, but he's underperforming with the white, and I think that's unlikely, honestly, and Trump is only getting 64% of Republicans, which does not make sense. So this poll seems like ass, honestly, and I think that, if anything, it'll have Trump winning, because he's already in a dead heat. It's within the margin of error. It's less than 0.5% for Biden. But if you account for the skew for women in the poll, the skew against the Republican partisanship or whatever that Trump would be estimated to get in terms of a unified Republican Party, he's being underestimated there. And I would say that it'd be tilting red. It could vote to the left of Michigan. So that's quite interesting to look at. But let's go forward and look towards another state. What's another state that we could be covering down here? And I think we still have Iowa left and Pennsylvania. 2 big states. Most importantly, Pennsylvania is the most important one. Apparently, it's not even loading. So let's move on to Pennsylvania as of today. So right before the election. And right now, we have over 1,000 respondents with a 3% margin of error, but high confidence. And we have Donald Trump winning by 0.7% normally, but with leans, he's winning by 1.9%, 47.8 to 45.9. Now, here's the thing. The leaners are breaking massively for Donald Trump, which goes to show that the incumbency is saving his ass right now, okay? Thank God. Now, the problem is that there's undecideds. Those undecideds make up 33.7%. But the problem is that because Biden's behind, he would have to get a lot of those undecideds under his wing, which does not even make sense to me, because Biden is a weak candidate and undecideds typically would vote for the incumbent. Therefore, Donald Trump is going to get most of those undecideds, which could lead to Trump winning by 1% or 2%. I would say he would win by 2, but because of voter fraud, he'd win by 1. Anyways, women oversampled again. 7% advantage. That seems like a little much. So I think Pennsylvania is going to tilt R. Okay, so let's not be too optimistic, but let's also be reasonable here and just assume that Joe Biden will make it competitive, of course, but ultimately it'll go to Trump in my estimation. And let's do this, guys. Iowa. Since they're not polling it for some reason, I guess, we are going to make it go for Trump likely. The Des Moines Register, which is a pretty good poll, relatively speaking, does have Trump ahead by 7, which is a good sign for the rest of the upper Midwest. So again, here we have Donald Trump, 306, Biden, 232. We have actually almost verbatim what happened in 2016. In fact, I think we have it exactly the same. But isn't that kind of marvelous how we ended up here? This is the Trafalgar poll map, assuming that we fix everything. We make sure that we have all the states where they need to be, where we have the corrections. Okay, make sure there's no misconception here. The oversamples, we kind of fix it all. If Trump's not winning these Rust Belt states, they're going to be within the margin of error, so he still has the chance anyway. So this is my prediction. This is the Trafalgar polling map as of November 2nd, the day before the 2020 election. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.